Welcome to Old Coins News. In today's video, we will explore 5 classic United States 1-cent coins, learning their history, design, mint details, and why these coins are special for collectors. The United States of America 1-cent coin dated 1951 with a Denver Mint Mark D is a classic example of mid-20th century American coinage and belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat Penny series, officially known as a Lincoln cent. This coin carries a powerful national mottos "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum," which together represent American faith, freedom, and unity. Introduced during a time when the United States was emerging from World War II and entering a new global role, the 1951 D Lincoln Wheat Cent reflects both historical continuity and economic recovery. Although it was produced in very large numbers, making it common in circulated condition, it remains highly respected and widely collected because of its historical context, traditional design, and importance in the long-running Lincoln Cent series that began in 1909. The obverse front of the 1951 D1 cent features a right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This iconic design was created by Victor David Brenner, a Lithuanian-born sculptor whose work became one of the most recognizable images in American numismatics. Lincoln's portrait symbolizes unity, leadership, and the preservation of the Union, values that were especially meaningful during the Cold War era in which the 1951 cent was minted. Above Lincoln's head appears the inscription, "In God We Trust," which had been used on U.S. coins since the 19th century and reflects the nation's spiritual heritage. To the left of Lincoln's profile is the word "liberty," representing personal freedom and democratic ideals, while the date 1951 appears to the right. Just below the date is a Denver Mint Mark D, indicating that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. The reverse back of the 1951 D Lincoln Wheat Cent displays a traditional wheat ears design, which was used on U.S. 1-cent coins from 1909 to 1958. This design consists of 2 stylized wheat stalks, one on each side, symbolizing America's agricultural strength, prosperity, and self-sufficiency. Centered between the wheat ears are the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the reverse appears a Latin motto, "E Pluribus Unum," meaning "out of many, one." This phrase reflects the unity of the states forming a single nation and has been a central theme in American identity since the country's founding. The wheat reverse design was replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial design, making all wheat pennies, including the 1951 D, part of a close and historically important series. From a technical standpoint, the 1951 D1 cent was struck in a bronze alloy composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This traditional composition had been used for most Lincoln cents before 1943 and again after World War II until 1982. The coin has a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge. Its rich copper color, especially when well preserved, is one of the reasons collectors find wheat pennies visually appealing. Coins that retain their original red copper luster are especially desirable and can command significantly higher prices than those that have turned brown due to oxidation and circulation. The Denver Mint, where the 1951 D cent was produced, played a crucial role in supplying coinage for the western United States. In 1951, the Denver Mint struck approximately 625,355,000 1-cent coins, making the 1951 D a high mintage issue. Because of this large production, the coin is generally considered common in circulated grades. However, despite its availability, the 1951 D Lincoln Wheat Cent remains an essential date for collectors assembling complete data mint sets of wheat pennies. High mintage does not diminish its historical significance, as it represents everyday commerce in post-war America and reflects the economic growth of the early 1950s. In circulated condition, most 1951 D wheat pennies show signs of wear, including smoothing of Lincoln's hair and facial features, flattening of the wheat ears on the reverse, and darkening of the copper surface. These circulated examples are still collected by beginners and hobbyists, often found in old jars, inherited collections, or coin rolls. However, the real collector interest increases dramatically in uncirculated, mint state, condition, particularly coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services. Coins with full detail, strong strikes, and original red coloration are far scarcer than their brown or red-brown counterparts and can be quite valuable compared to circulated pieces. The value of a 1951 D Lincoln wheat cent depends heavily on its condition, color, and eye appeal. In worn or heavily circulated condition, the coin typically sells for only a small premium over face value. In fine to extremely fine condition, it may be worth slightly more due to collector demand. In uncirculated brown condition, values rise modestly, while red-brown uncirculated examples are more desirable. Fully red mint state coins, especially those graded MS-66 or MS-67, can be worth many times more than common circulated examples. Because copper coins are prone to environmental damage, finding a high-grade 1951 D cent with original red color is much more challenging than finding a worn example. Collectors also pay special attention to error coins and varieties associated with the 1951 D 1 cent. Although no major double-die varieties are widely recognized to this date, minor errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, die chips, clip planches, weak strikes, and lamination errors do exist. These mint errors occurred during the high-speed minting process and can add significant interest and value, depending on their severity and visibility. Error coins offer collectors a glimpse into the minting process and provide unique, one-of-a-kind pieces that differ from standard issues. Historically, the year 1951 sits within a fascinating period of American history. The United States was experiencing economic expansion following World War II, while also entering the early stages of the Cold War. The Korean War was ongoing, and industrial production was high. Coins like the 1951 D Lincoln wheat cent were used daily by millions of Americans, making them silent witnesses to an important era of social, political, and economic change. Every worn example tells a story of everyday life, use in grocery stores, vending machines, newspapers, and public transportation, connecting modern collectors to the past. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series as a whole is one of the most beloved and widely collected coin series in the world. The 1951 D plays a meaningful role within this series as a representative of the later wheat penny years, just before the design change in 1959. Many collectors aim to complete full sets from 1909 to 1958, and the inclusion of the 1951 D is essential to achieving that goal. Its affordability in lower grades makes it accessible to beginners, while high-grade examples continue to challenge advanced collectors. In conclusion, the 1951 D United States 1 cent with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum" is far more than a simple copper coin. It is a piece of American history, a symbol of national values, and an important chapter in the story of U.S. coinage. Whether found in circulated condition or preserved, the United States of America 1 cent dated 1953 with a Denver Mint Mark D is an important issue of the classic Lincoln Wheat Cent series, a coin type that represents one of the longest-running and most beloved designs in American numismatic history. This copper cent carries the national inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum," which together express the core ideals of faith, freedom, and unity that define the American nation. Struck during the early 1950s, a period marked by post-World War II recovery, industrial expansion, and the growing influence of the United States on the global stage, the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny reflects both stability and tradition. Although produced in very large numbers for everyday circulation, it remains a significant collectible because it belongs to the final years of the wheat penny era, which ended in 1958. The obverse of the 1953 D 1 cent features the iconic right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, this portrait was the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regularly circulating U.S. coin. Lincoln's calm yet strong expression symbolizes leadership, unity, and moral integrity, qualities deeply admired in American culture. Above Lincoln's head appears the inscription, "In God We Trust," a motto that reflects the spiritual foundation of the nation and had become standard on U.S. coinage by the early 20th century. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word "Liberty," representing freedom and democratic values, while the date 1953 appears to the right. Just below the date is a D mint mark, identifying the coin as a product of the Denver Mint. The reverse of the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Cent displays a familiar wheat ears design, which was used on U.S. 1 cent coins from 1909 through 1958. Two stylized wheat stalks frame the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the reverse is a Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This phrase symbolizes the unity of the states and the collective strength of the nation. The wheat ears themselves are a powerful symbol of America's agricultural heritage, productivity, and self-reliance, reflecting the importance of farming and food production to the nation's economic foundation. Because the wheat reverse was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959, all wheat pennies, including the 1953 D, are part of a completed and historically important series. From a technical perspective, the 1953 D 1 cent was struck in a traditional bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This composition had been restored after the wartime steel cents of 1943 and remained in use until 1982, when the U.S. Mint shifted to copper-plated zinc. The coin has a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge. The high copper content give the coin its characteristic reddish-brown color, which can range from bright red in uncirculated condition to dark brown in heavily circulated examples. Copper's tendency to oxidize over time means that well-preserved coins with original mint luster are increasingly scarce and highly sought after by collectors. The Denver Mint, located in Colorado, was one of the primary facilities responsible for producing circulating coinage for the western United States. In 1953, the Denver Mint struck approximately 700 million 1 cent coins, making the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny a high mintage issue. Because of this large production, the coin is considered common in circulated grades and is frequently encountered by collectors, especially those who search through old coin collections, rolls, or hoards of wheat pennies. Despite its availability, the 1953 D remains an essential coin for collectors assembling complete date and mint sets of Lincoln wheat cents. Most circulated examples of the 1953 D wheat penny show varying degrees of wear, particularly on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline, as well as on the wheat stalks and lettering on the reverse. In these lower grades, the coin's value is generally modest, but it still holds historical and educational significance. As the grade improves, so does collector interest. Uncirculated examples, especially those with minimal contact marks and strong strikes, are far less common than circulated pieces. Coins that retain their original red copper color are particularly desirable, as copper coins often darken over time due to environmental exposure. The market value of a 1953 D 1 cent depends heavily on condition, surface quality, and color designation. Circulated brown examples are typically worth only a small premium over face value, while nicer examples in extremely fine or about uncirculated condition are more desirable to collectors. In mint state, the value increases significantly, especially for coins graded MS65 or higher. Fully red mint state coins are the most valuable and can command prices many times higher than common circulated examples. Because of the high mintage, the true challenge of collectors is not finding the coin itself, but finding it in exceptionally high grade with original color and eye appeal. Collectors also take interest in mint errors and minor varieties associated with the 1953 D Lincoln wheat cent. While no major double-die varieties are widely recognized for this date, examples with die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, clip planches, weak strikes, and lamination errors do exist. These errors occurred during the minting process and provide insight into the mechanical and human factors involved in coin production. Error coins are especially appealing to collectors because they are unique and often tell a story about the conditions under which the coin was struck. Historically, the year 1953 holds special significance in American history. It marked the end of the Korean War, a change in U.S. presidential leadership with the beginning of Dwight D. Eisenhower's administration, and continued economic growth in the post-war era. Coins like the 1953 D Lincoln wheat penny circulated widely during this time, passing through countless hands in daily transactions. Each surviving example is a tangible link to the everyday lives of Americans in the early 1950s, making it more than just a piece of metal. It is a historical artifact. Within the broader context of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, the 1953 D represents the later years of the design, just a few years before the transition to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. Many collectors focus on completing full wheat penny sets from 1909 to 1958, and the 1953 D is a required date for that goal. Its affordability in lower grades makes it accessible to beginners, while high-grade red examples continue to challenge and attract advanced collectors. In conclusion, the 1953 United States 1 cent bearing the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum" is a classic American coin that combines historical significance, traditional design, and enduring collector appeal. Though common in circulated condition, it remains an important piece of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series and a symbol of mid-20th century America. Whether preserved in a high-grade collection or discovered in an old coin jar, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Cent continues to educate, inspire, and connect collectors to the rich heritage of United States coinage. The United States of America 1 cent dated 1956 is a classic example of mid-20th century American coinage and belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat Cent series, one of the most widely collected and historically significant coin series in the world. This coin proudly carries the national inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum," which together express the foundational ideals of the United States: faith, freedom, and unity. Minted during a period of economic growth and cultural confidence in post-World War II America, the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny represents everyday life in the 1950s, a decade marked by industrial expansion, suburban growth, and increasing global influence of the United States. Although this coin was produced in large quantities for daily commerce, it remains an important collectible because it comes from the final years of the wheat penny design, which ended just 2 years later in 1958. The obverse of the 1956 1 cent features the instantly recognizable right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by renowned sculptor Victor David Brenner. Introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, this portrait was revolutionary because it marked the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regularly circulating U.S. coin. Lincoln's image on the cent symbolizes unity, honesty, sacrifice, and leadership, values that resonated deeply with Americans, especially in the decades following the Civil War and World War II. Above Lincoln's head is the inscription "In God We Trust," a motto that reflects the nation's spiritual heritage and had become a permanent fixture on U.S. coinage by the early 20th century. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word "Liberty," representing freedom and democratic ideals, while the date 1956 appears to the right, marking the year this coin entered circulation. The reverse of the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Cent displays a traditional wheat ears design, which was used on U.S. 1 cent coins from 1909 through 1958. This reverse design consists of 2 stylized wheat stalks, one on each side, framing the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the reverse appears the Latin motto "E Pluribus Unum," meaning "out of many, one." This phrase reflects the unity of the states forming a single nation and has been a core element of American identity since the country's founding. The wheat ears themselves symbolize agricultural abundance, productivity, and self-reliance, reminding us of the importance of farming and food production in the nation's development. Because the wheat reverse was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959, the 1956 cent is part of a completed and historically closed design series, which adds to its long-term collector appeal. From a technical standpoint, the 1956 1 cent was struck in a bronze alloy composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the standard composition for Lincoln cents during most of the 20th century. The coin has a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge. The high copper content gives the coin its characteristic reddish-brown color, which can range from bright red in uncirculated condition to deep brown in heavily circulated examples. Over time, copper reacts with air and moisture, causing oxidation and color changes, which is why original red examples are much scarcer today than brown ones. This natural aging process makes well-preserved coins especially attractive to collectors. In 1956, Lincoln Wheat Cents were produced at 3 mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D; and San Francisco, S. The Philadelphia Mint struck the largest number, producing over 420 million coins, while the Denver Mint produced over 1 billion cents, making the 1956 D one of the highest mintage wheat pennies of the entire series. The San Francisco Mint struck a smaller number by comparison. Because of these large mintages, 1956 Lincoln Wheat pennies are generally considered common in circulated condition. However, High mintage does not diminish their historical value, as these coins played a vital role in everyday transactions across the country during the 1950s. Most circulated 1956 wheat pennies show noticeable wear, especially on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline, as well as on the wheat stalks and lettering on the reverse. These worn examples are still widely collected by beginners and hobbyists and are often found in old jars, inherited collections, or mixed wheat penny rolls. While circulated coins usually carry modest monetary value, they remain important educational and historical pieces. As the condition improves, collector interest increases. Uncirculated examples, particularly those with strong strikes, minimal contact marks, and original luster, are far less common and more desirable. The value of a 1956 1 cent depends heavily on its condition, color designation, and overall eye appeal. Circulated brown examples typically trade for a small premium over face value. Coins graded fine to extremely fine are modestly valued, while about uncirculated and mint state examples command higher prices. The most valuable examples are mint state red coins, especially those graded MS66 or MS67, which are scarce due to copper's tendency to tone and darken over time. Collectors are willing to pay significantly more for coins that retain their original bright red color and sharp detail. Collectors also pay attention to errors and varieties associated with the 1956 Lincoln wheat cent. While there are no famous major double-die varieties widely recognized for this date, minor errors such as die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, clip planches, lamination errors, and weak strikes do exist. These mint errors occurred during the high-speed minting process and provide fascinating insight into how coins were produced. Error coins are especially appealing because each one is unique, making them prized additions to specialized collections. The year 1956 itself holds historical importance in American history. It was a time of economic prosperity, technological advancement, and cultural change. The interstate highway system was expanding, consumer goods were becoming more accessible, and the United States was firmly established as a global superpower. Coins like the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny circulated widely during this era, passing through countless hands in grocery stores, schools, gas stations, and local businesses. Each surviving coin serves as a tangible connection to the daily lives of Americans in the mid-20th century. Within the broader Lincoln wheat penny series, the 1956 cent occupies a special place as one of the final issues before the major design change in 1959. Many collectors aim to complete full wheat penny sets from 1909 to 1958 and the 1956 issue, whether from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, is an essential part of that goal. Its affordability in lower grades makes it accessible to new collectors, while high-grade red examples continue to challenge experienced numismatists. In conclusion, the 1956 United States 1 cent bearing the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum" is far more than a simple copper coin. It is a historical artifact, a symbol of American values, and an important chapter in the story of U.S. coinage. Whether found well-worn from years of circulation or preserved in pristine uncirculated condition, the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny continues to educate, inspire, and connect collectors to the rich heritage of the United States of America. The United States of America 1 cent dated 1958 with a Denver mint mark D holds a very special and historic place in American numismatics because it represents the final year of the Lincoln wheat cent series, a design that had been in continuous production since 1909. Bearing the powerful national inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum." The 1958 D wheat penny reflects the enduring ideals of faith, freedom, and unity that define the United States. Minted during a time of economic confidence and cultural stability in post-World War II America, this coin marks the end of an era in U.S. coinage history. The following year, in 1959, the reverse design would change to the Lincoln Memorial, making the 1958 issue, especially the 1958 D, one of the most historically meaningful Lincoln cents ever produced. The obverse of the 1958 D 1 cent features the iconic right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This portrait was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and was groundbreaking at the time, as it was the first circulating U.S. coin to feature an actual historical figure rather than a symbolic representation of liberty. Lincoln's image represents honesty, unity, sacrifice, and leadership, qualities deeply respected in American culture. Above Lincoln's head appears the inscription, "In God We Trust," a motto that reflects the nation's spiritual foundation and sense of moral responsibility. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word liberty, symbolizing personal freedom and democratic values, while the date 1958 appears to the right. Just below the date is a D mint mark, identifying the coin as having been struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado. The reverse of the 1958 D Lincoln wheat cent displays the classic wheat ears design, a reverse that had been used continuously from 1909 until the end of 1958. Two stylized wheat stalks curve along the left and right edges of the coin, framing the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the reverse appears the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This phrase emphasizes the unity of the states and the collective strength of the nation. The wheat ears symbolize agricultural abundance, productivity, and self-sufficiency, reminding collectors of America's agrarian roots and the importance of farming to the nation's growth and survival. Because 1958 was the last year this reverse design was used, the wheat ears on the 1958 D cent carry special symbolic weight, representing conclusion of a nearly 50-year design tradition. From a technical standpoint, the 1958 D1 cent was struck in a bronze alloy consisting of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, the standard composition used for Lincoln cents during most of the 20th century. The coin has a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge. The high copper content gives the coin its warm reddish color, which can range from bright red in freshly struck, uncirculated examples to deep brown in heavily circulated pieces. Over time, copper naturally oxidizes, causing most surviving coins to lose their original red luster. As a result, high-grade examples that retain full red color are much scarcer and more valuable to collectors. The Denver Mint was one of the primary facilities responsible for producing circulating coinage during the 1950s, especially for the western and central United States. In 1958, the Denver Mint struck approximately 800 million 1-cent coins, making the 1958 DA high mintage issue. Because of this large production, the coin is common in circulated condition. However, despite its high mintage, the 1958 D wheat penny is extremely important from a historical perspective because it represents the end of the wheat penny era. Many collectors specifically seek out this coin as a symbolic final issue of one of America's most beloved coin designs. Most circulated examples of the 1958 D wheat penny show moderate to heavy wear, particularly on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline, as well as flattening of the wheat stalks and lettering on the reverse. These worn examples were used extensively in everyday commerce and often displayed dark brown coloration due to decades of circulation and environmental exposure. While circulated coins typically have modest monetary value, they are still collected for their historical significance and nostalgic appeal. Many people encounter 1958 D cents in old collections, inherited jars, or bulk wheat penny lots. The value of a 1958 D1 cent is highly dependent on its condition and color designation. Circulated brown examples usually sell for a small premium over face value. Coins in fine to extremely fine condition are modestly priced and popular with collectors completing date sets. About uncirculated and mint state examples are more desirable, especially those with strong strikes and minimal contact marks. The most valuable examples are mint state red coins, particularly those graded MS66 or MS67, which can command significantly higher prices due to their scarcity and eye appeal. Because copper coins are sensitive to handling and environmental damage, finding a 1958 D cent with full red color and pristine surfaces is far more challenging than finding a worn example. Collectors also pay close attention to errors and varieties associated with the 1958 D Lincoln wheat cent. While there are no famous double-die varieties widely recognized to this date, a number of minor mint errors exist, including die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, clip planches, lamination errors, and weak strikes. These errors occurred during the high-speed minting process and provide fascinating insight into how coins are produced. Error coins are especially appealing because each one is unique, making them desirable additions to specialized collections. The year 1958 is historically significant beyond numismatics. It was a time of economic growth, technological advancement, and cultural change in the United States. The nation was expanding its infrastructure, investing in science and education, and preparing for the challenges of the space age. Coins like the 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny circulated through grocery stores, schools, gas stations, and small businesses, quietly participating in the daily lives of millions of Americans. Every surviving example is a tangible connection to that moment in history. Within the broader Lincoln cent series, the 1958 D holds exceptional importance because it represents the final Denver minted wheat penny. Collectors who assemble complete wheat penny sets from 1909 to 1958 consider this coin a milestone piece. Its affordability in lower grades makes it accessible to beginners, while high-grade red examples continue to challenge advanced collectors. Many numismatists view the 1958 D as a symbolic closing chapter to the classic era of American copper cents. In conclusion, the 1958 D United States 1 cent bearing the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum" is far more than a simple copper coin. It is a final representative of the Lincoln wheat penny tradition, a coin that connects nearly half a century of American history, design, and everyday life. Whether found well-worn from years of circulation or preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition, the 1958 D Lincoln wheat cent remains one of the most meaningful and historically important 1 cent coins ever issued by the United States of America. The United States of America 1 cent dated 1956 with a Denver Mint Mark D is a classic and historically meaningful issue from the famous Lincoln wheat cent series, a coin design that ran continuously from 1909 until 1958 and became one of the most widely collected coin types in the world. This coin bears the powerful national inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum," phrases that together represent the spiritual faith, political freedom, and national unity of the United States. Minted during the prosperous and confident mid-1950s, the 1956 D Lincoln wheat penny reflects a time when America was experiencing economic growth, industrial expansion, and cultural stability following the hardships of World War II. Although it was struck in very large numbers for everyday circulation, the 1956 D cent remains an important collectible because it belongs to the final years of the wheat penny era and represents the last generation of traditional copper cents before major design changes occurred. The obverse of the 1956 D 1 cent features the iconic right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth, this portrait was revolutionary at the time because it marked the first appearance of a real historical figure on a regularly circulating U.S. coin. Lincoln's calm yet determined expression symbolizes honesty, unity, leadership, and moral strength, qualities that resonated strongly with Americans during the Cold War era of the 1950s. Above Lincoln's head appears the inscription, "In God We Trust," a national motto that reflects the country's spiritual heritage and sense of divine guidance. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word "Liberty," representing freedom, democracy, and individual rights, while the date 1956 appears to the right. Just below the date is a D mint mark, indicating that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most important U.S. minting facilities of the time. The reverse of the 1956 D Lincoln wheat cent displays a traditional wheat ears design, a reverse that had been used since the introduction of the Lincoln cent in 1909. Two stylized wheat stalks curve along the left and right sides of the coin, framing the central inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the reverse appears the Latin motto "E Pluribus Unum," meaning out of many, one. This phrase reflects the unity of the individual states forming a single nation and has been a core element of American identity since the country's founding. The wheat ears themselves symbolize agricultural abundance, productivity, and self-sufficiency, reminding collectors of the importance of farming and food production in building and sustaining the American economy. Because the wheat reverse was used until 1958, the 1956 D cent represents one of the final expressions of this classic design. From a technical and metallurgical standpoint, the 1956 D 1 cent was struck in a traditional bronze alloy composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This composition had been standard for Lincoln cents for most of the 20th century, except for the wartime steel cents of 1943. The coin has a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and a plain edge. The high copper content gives a coin its characteristic reddish color, which can range from bright red in freshly struck uncirculated examples to red-brown and dark brown in circulated pieces. Over time, exposure to air, moisture, and handling causes copper to oxidize, which explains why fully red examples are far scarcer today than brown ones. The Denver Mint, located in Colorado, played a major role in producing circulating coinage during the 1950s, especially for the western and central regions of the United States. In 1956, the Denver Mint struck an exceptionally large number of 1-cent coins, over 1 billion pieces, making the 1956 D Lincoln wheat penny one of the highest minted wheat cents ever produced. Because of this massive production, the coin is very common in circulated condition and is frequently found in old collections, inherited jars, and bulk wheat penny lots. Despite its abundance, the 1956 D remains historically important because it represents the everyday coinage used by millions of Americans during a defining period of national growth and optimism. Most circulated examples of the 1956 D wheat penny show noticeable wear on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline, as well as flattening of the wheat stalks and lettering on the reverse. These worn coins often display a dark brown surface due to decades of circulation and environmental exposure. While such examples usually carry modest monetary value, they are still widely collected for their historical and nostalgic appeal. Many collectors begin their numismatic journey with wheat pennies like the 1956 D because they are affordable, recognizable, and rich in history. As the condition of the coin improves, collector interest and value increase significantly. About uncirculated and mint state examples are far less common than worn pieces, especially those that retain strong original luster and minimal contact marks. The most desirable examples are those classified as mint state red, meaning they retain most or all of their original copper color. Coins graded MS66 or MS67 red by professional grading services are scarce and can command impressive premiums despite the coin's high mintage. This is because copper coins are highly sensitive to handling and environmental damage, making pristine survivors difficult to find. The value of a 1956 D 1 cent depends primarily on its condition, color designation, and overall eye appeal. Circulated brown examples typically sell for a small premium over face value. Coins in fine to extremely fine condition are modestly priced and popular with collectors completing date and mint sets. Uncirculated red-brown coins are more valuable, while full red mint state examples are the most sought after. Although the 1956 D is not a rare coin in terms of mintage, high-grade examples remain challenging and desirable. Collectors also study errors and varieties associated with the 1956 D Lincoln wheat cent. While there are no widely recognized major double-die varieties for this date, a number of minor mint errors are known, including die cracks, die chips, off-center strikes, clip planches, lamination errors, and weak strikes. These errors occurred during the high-speed minting process and offer fascinating insight into the mechanical realities of coin production. Error coins are especially attractive to collectors because each one is unique and tells a story about how the coin was made. The year 1956 itself is historically significant in American history. It was a time of economic prosperity, expanding infrastructure, and technological advancement. The interstate highway system was rapidly growing, consumer culture was flourishing, and the United States was firmly established as a global superpower. Coins like the 1956 D Lincoln wheat penny circulated through grocery stores, schools, diners, gas stations, and local businesses, silently participating in the daily lives of millions of Americans. Each surviving coin is a tangible reminder of that era. Within the broader Lincoln wheat penny series, the 1956 D occupies an important position as one of the last Denver minted wheat cents before the design change in 1959. Collectors assembling complete sets from 1909 to 1958 must include this coin.